News Action Newsroom.
Hello, I am Jim Gardner. Apparently, we have averted a SEPTA strike. It is 3 minutes to 12 o'clock. The strike deadline, 12:01. You are now looking at Louis Gambaccini talking. He is the general manager of SEPTA. To his left, your right, Roger Taus, the head of TWU Local 234. And Mr. Gambaccini has just announced that they have reached a tentative settlement. Let's listen.
Mr. Gambaccini, just to underscore for our viewers who are coming in the middle of this, you do have a settlement. You won't have a strike.
That is correct. We just left the meeting with our executive board. They voted unanimously to ratify the tentative agreement. We outlined the particulars to them. We have called our strike captains and told them we have a tentative settlement. There will not be a strike. We will not give out details now because our members like to hear it from the union, but by tomorrow it will be...
Is this the same tentative agreement you had this morning?
Is this the same?
Is it?
I wish.
Roger, without giving out details, pay, pension, and health care were the key issues. Did you wind up giving up anything on health benefits?
No.
Nothing. You still have the health benefits?
Full paid? Fully paid?
Can you give us a rough sketch of what you come together with?
No.
Could you tell us again, though, you have fully paid health benefits still, is that right? They're still paid fully by...
Yes.
Roger,
no contribution from the workers.
And a better pension.
We addressed the problem in other ways, and we look to making progress in it and controlling the cost.
Could you characterize the other ways in which you've handled
No, I
the health
can't.
issue?
No.
What you're listening to is a dialogue now, or I guess dialogue is the wrong word, but a discussion among reporters and Roger Taus. What they are talking about was the main issue of contention as to whether the union would be forced to shoulder some of the burden of paying for future health benefits for members of Local 234. You heard Mark Howard perhaps in the background ask the question, will the union pay any health benefits at all? And apparently it's not an easy question for Roger Taus to answer. He tried to suggest, well, no, but apparently they have worked out that problem with some sophisticated and perhaps creative financing, and so we'll have to wait probably until tomorrow to find out exactly how that issue, the main stumbling block, has been resolved. Let's listen to a bit more.
Something people were talking about. In the past, labor and SEPTA have had serious problems. How would the two of you describe the tone of these negotiations?
I think, as we've indicated from the beginning, you've noticed I've been quiet and polite this time. That indicates something. I think with the changes at SEPTA in the last couple of years, from the board level on down, our feeling is we have a real professional operation. Sometimes that's not so great because they're pretty good at this stuff like negotiating. They're not amateurs.
Lou, could you give us an idea if this might mean another fare increase in the future because of this?
Well, I would concur with Roger that there has been an earnestness and a mutual respect, and the tone has been quite good. I really wasn't around before, so I can't characterize it by comparison with prior, although I did read some of the press clips from that earlier period. From our point of view, I think one of the reasons the tone was better, at least from our end, is I was determined that we would unlink the contract settlement from fare increases or subsidy needs. We have a serious problem. If we had a contract settlement that didn't cost a nickel, we still have a serious problem. So my only concern is that we reach an agreement that is basically fair. It is not excessive. It is not out of line with what other agreements have been arrived at in the public entities around this state. Once that's done, then we've got another problem, and a serious problem, and how we meet the fiscal year and the subsidy need.
Could you just tell us, though?
We're not prepared to spell that out. We'll save the details tomorrow.
Could you tell us, though, if you will have to have a bigger raise than the one you already put into effect?
Let me say this, that the numbers contemplated by this agreement were estimated and
We're going to interrupt this news conference right now. Louis Gambaccini, general manager of SEPTA, explaining to Mark Howard about the prospects of a possible fare hike. Of course, we should tell you that just a few weeks ago, Mr. Gambaccini said that we could expect fare hikes averaging 7% a year for the next number of years, in addition to the higher fare increase this year. And so clearly fare hikes are in the future for SEPTA. Whether this contract will mean those fare hikes are even larger than anticipated remains to be seen. We will get back to Mark Howard We'll get back to Mark Howard in just a couple of minutes to see what his perspective is, having attended this news conference. But now let's go to Dan Cuellar, who was at the SEPTA depot at 59th Street in Callow Hill, where he has been watching the proceedings, I assume, on our monitor with SEPTA strike captains and SEPTA unionized employees there. Dan, what's the reaction there?
Well, Jim, we have a mixed bag of reaction among the 50 bus drivers, trolley operators, and mechanics here at the depot at 59th and Callow Hill, because they think it's still up in the air. They haven't heard all of the details. They heard Mr. Tulsa's comment concerning the health care benefits, which is very crucial to the workers here. Clyde Screen, union representative, what's your thought?
We are happy for the riding public, number one, that they're not going to suffer, but we're optimistic about the whole package, but we are not going to be concerned about anything positive until the language of the contract is brought down and we discuss it in terms of what the gains and the losses before we get too optimistic about everything. So we're just tentative at this point.
But at this point, you're not going on strike, and there must be some kind of reaction to that, the fact that you're not going to be walking out.
Correct. And I personally am elated that we're not going out. I mean, we all have families, and we have to, like my partner just said, we have to see the particulars and ratify it.
Right.
So right now it's just a cat in the bag.
Right.
That's all we know.
Okay. So, okay. What's that?
It's not over till it's over.
Not over till it's over. And there wasn't any cheering here when the announcement came over live, when we heard Roger Tals and Gambaccini talking about the tentative agreement reached, but there's certainly at least some elation that these gentlemen are not going to be walking out, and that details of this contract are being worked out right now. I'm Dan Cuellar, live on the Action Cam at the depot at 59th and Callow Hill.
And needless to say, Dan, there's going to be elation on the part of about 500,000 people who use the city division of SEPTA on a daily basis, that there will not be a strike either. We now go back to 18th and Market, where Mark Howard has Union Chief Roger Taus one-on-one. Mark, why don't you take it?
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Mr. Taus, the question really is that this morning, around 9 o'clock, I guess, Lou Gambaccini called up some politicians, said you had an agreement in principle. He says he had to sound them out to see if they thought it was okay. Did he word it wrong? What happened this morning?
We talked last night, and he floated some ideas, and I said I couldn't negotiate with him on those, but I floated some ideas to him, and we came back and worked at it. There was nothing any close to an agreement at that point. Later on in the day, there was something close to an agreement that also blew up. I mean, these things are not easy. But I think there was clearly from the beginning, the one thing we felt, and we never had any confidence it would get done, but we thought it could get done, and we always felt that there was a will on both sides to get through this thing, get a decent settlement, get it behind us, because SEPTA is in a period now where it's either going to sink or swim. And
could you tell us, was it a 3-year deal?
Yeah, it's a 3-year deal.
Same as the past, but could you tell us again, we were cloudy on that business of health care. You didn't want your people to, I think your words were give back.
There are no caps, there are no co-pays, there are no deductibles. Yeah, we addressed the problem in other ways, but we didn't have to do any of the things we didn't want to do.
Would you be reducing coverage in any way by?
No.
Not. In other words, you have full medical care as you did.
Everything we had, we still have, and there will be no,
We had talk of 3 years at 4.5% a year, something like that. Is that in the ballpark?
We'll see tomorrow.
You're going to tell your people tomorrow. You have a meeting scheduled what time?
No, we're just going out of the property. It's going out now. I mean, and by tomorrow we'll have a little leaflet out, and everyone will be on the property, and the members will know about it, and then it'll be made.
Membership meeting when? Vote? What's the timetable?
No, we have a ballot vote in the depots. That'll probably be a week from Friday.
Week from Friday. Okay. Roger Taus with us live. Jim, any questions there? Seems like they pretty much wrapped it all up. Right on schedule with what, 3 minutes to spare, I guess.
Mark, I do have one question.
And finish a few things.
Oh, you have a few more details there. Thanks, Rod.
I do have one question, and if you can't address it to Mr. Taus, perhaps you and I could talk about it for just a second. And there seems to be perhaps a larger issue. As Roger Taus said just a few moments ago, this is a time when SEPTA is either going to sink or swim, and it's going to need the cooperation of Harrisburg, particularly to swim. And I wonder whether, more than ever before, Roger Taus and Louis Gambaccini did not feel some sense of partnership in their combined efforts in going to Harrisburg and getting money to keep SEPTA going, and that perhaps a strike could have sabotaged that effort and might have meant the demise of our transit authority.
Good question. In other words, are you and Gambaccini going